Hi, this is Kevin Trainer, and I'd like to welcome you to my lecture on the introduction of 340-201, Introduction to Systems Analysis in the fall semester of 2016. And this the lecture is an introduction to the course and a review of the syllabus. And what we're looking at right now on the video is the index page of our weekly schedule for the course. And this is a link that you'll find in your syllabus. You'll find it on D2L. Hopefully you'll bookmark it. And it's a way to find the schedule for the course and a lot of detail in a pretty easy to navigate kind of fashion. This is the thing I do for all my courses. And so here we're looking at all the weeks of the semester. There are 16 weeks of the semester here at UWM in the fall. And we're currently in week 1. If you want to get to the schedule for week 1, you click on the numeral 1 there and you'll see it. And you can navigate to the rest of the weeks directly without going back to the index by clicking on Next. Right now, the week 2 schedule is under construction. I'll be getting that up over the course of the rest of this week. But in about a week, I should have all the parts of all the schedules up for all 5 of my courses that I'm teaching in the fall. So rest assured that I'll have things up by the time that you need them. So let's go back and look at our schedule for week 1. There's a couple of things that I would like to call your attention to. First of all, we have an optional session on Thursday evenings between 6:30 and 7:30 on GoToMeeting. And this is the session that I call Online Office Hours. And I've been doing this in all my online courses for about a year and a half at least. And I've called them different things. I'm currently calling them Online Office Hours. But this is a chance for students in the class to get together with me online synchronously and talk. And the first thing that we typically do is we go through the answers to whatever assignment we last turned in. So here we're going to have quizzes and we're going to have skills practice assignments. And so depending on which we had, we either go over the answers to the quizzes or the solutions to the skills practice assignments. And what I typically do is I ask you guys to tell us the answers and show us the solution. And as a nice part of that, it's an opportunity to earn participation credit in the course. And then, of course, when I've got answers or solutions that are different from what you guys have, then I share mine. So by the time we get to the end of the session, you should know how you did on the last assignment. Not everybody can make these sessions every week, so I'm going to be recording them. This is a new thing that I started in the summer, seemed to work pretty well. And so I'll be posting a recording up here typically the next day. So if this happens on Thursday, September 8th, the recording will be up and accessible in the schedule on Friday, September 9th. Okay? The other thing that we do in online office hours is that we just talk about any questions that are on our mind. As we go through the syllabus, you'll have, I think, a more accurate idea of what kind of questions that you might have as you go through the course. But whatever kind of question you have, here's a chance to ask it. Okay? Because this is an online course, assignments are due weekly, and the schedule for the course is the week starts on Monday morning and it finishes on Sunday night. So the second box we have here on the weekly schedule page for week 1 has the assignments and the material that's due for the week. So it's given the title Weekly Assignments Deadline. It's on Sunday, September 11th at 11:55 p.m. And let's just kind of walk through that, what that's going to be for week 1. We're going to cover introductions. We're going to cover the syllabus. That's the lecture that we're doing right now. And we're going to have a lecture on what does the systems analyst do. Okay. We've got readings for you to do. The one related to the lecture that you're listening to right now is the course syllabus. I clicked on the wrong one, sorry. And we'll be reviewing that in just a minute. Okay. And the other one is a brochure from the American Institute of Architects. And it's a really nice brochure about how to work with an architect who would work with you and your family on designing a new custom designed home. And I think that's really close to the kind of work that systems analysts do. So when I'm talking about, when I'm doing the lecture on what does the systems analyst do, I'm going to be referring to this promotional piece from the AIA. There are 2 recordings for you to watch this week. They're both lectures. There's the lecture that you're watching and listening to right now, and then there's the lecture on what does the systems analyst do. When these are available, because I record these as I go throughout the semester, I will, number one, I'll post a link here instead of the information that a link is coming. And whenever I revise content in the course, I'm going to post an announcement on the news on our D2L site, and I'm going to copy that and send it as an email. So you should be able to monitor your email and know when I've added content to the course. We're going to have quizzes on a pretty regular basis, and there is going to be a course introduction quiz here at the end of week 1. Okay, and that's going to be available on September the 6th as well. If there is one class participation assignment due, and that's participation in the sense that we're going to expect you to post to a forum, and we just want you to introduce yourself. So I'd like you to post a 100 to 200 word introduction to yourself. We have a list of the things that we are interested in, and that's to be posted to the introductions forum, which is on our D2L page. Okay, and so we're going to have this kind of detail for every week of the semester. So whenever you have a question about what's due this week, come to the schedule, click on your week, and you're going to have all the details right there by day. All right, great. So let's talk about the syllabus. And as I'm going through the syllabus, I'll just make comments as I go along to help to set the expectations for the course. So the name of the course, Introduction to Systems Analysis. This is section 201, an online section. Here are my particulars. My name is Kevin Trainer. Here's my UWM email. Here's my mobile phone. This is my only phone. Okay, I have a phone in my office here. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. I don't know what the number is, and I don't think I've actually answered it in years. Okay, so don't call my office line, and certainly don't leave a message there because I'll never get it. Okay, and don't call my home line, my landline, because I know even less about my landline at home than I know about my landline at the office. So it's the mobile phone. I've been giving the mobile phone to students for about 10 years, and so far they haven't worn me out. So I'm going to keep doing it. So if you need me, call me. My office at SOAS is on the 3rd floor, which is kind of the main SOAS floor. It's where the administrative office is, and I'm actually pretty close to that. Okay. I already talked about what online office hours are. Okay, so online office hours is going to be held every Thursday evening on GoToMeeting, and I would like you to join us. The experience that I've had, the feedback I've had from students who've come to online office hours and participated is universally favorable. Okay, so please give it a try. So, what's this course about? Well, this course is about systems analysis. Okay, and what I find is that when I do this course on a face-to-face basis, and I go around the classroom just about this point, I go, well, what do you guys think that systems analysis is all about? Systems analysis is all about. And I get a couple of vague ideas. I get a lot of people who kind of honestly say, well, you know, I don't know. This is a required course, Kevin. And I kind of, you know, I have a feeling of what it's about, but it's hard to put into words. And then some people just say, I don't even have a feeling what it's about. It's a required course. I'm here. Teach me. So this is an introductory course in systems analysis for computer-based information systems. So there are other meetings of systems analysts, but the kind of systems analyst that we are interested in is the kind who works in some kind of IT organization, and they gather the requirements for a computer-based information system solution to a business problem. And when I say business, I mean that broadly. So, you know, the operations of an educational institution are business in that sense. Okay? Systems analysts are primarily responsible for eliciting user requirements, proposing a system solution that meets those requirements, and creating a model of the requirements and a proposed solution that can be understood by both the system users and the system developers. System analysts also get involved in project identification, project planning, project management, supervision of the detailed system design, supervision of the system construction and installation. So the audience for this course is anyone who's interested in the analysis and design of computer-based information systems. Okay? This should be you. Okay? If you're a person who is going to work in an information organization that helps its the IT department, the information systems department, if you're going to be one of the group of people who help your organization succeed by solving problems with information technology solutions, then you're going to want to have these kinds of skills. All right? So I think that includes you. There's one required text. It's the textbooks by a group of authors. It's called Modern Systems Analysis and Design, 7th edition. The lead author is Hoffer, and the latest edition, the one that we're using, the 7th edition, was published in 2014. I've been using this book a long time. I've been using this since about the 4th edition, so a long time. I like this book. It's not perfect, but it's good. The only bad thing you can say about this book is that the hardback version of it is expensive. Why it's expensive? Simply because the publishers of these books feel they can get away with it. You're free to use any 7th edition of this book that you can get your hands on. You can buy a new hardback version. There is an international paperback version that's mostly the same. There may be a little things that are different, but nothing that's going to affect our course. So if you can get your hands on one of those, there's an opportunity to save some money. And there's at least one e-textbook. So you're going to need the book. We're going to begin readings in the book in week 2. So you don't need it for week 1. You need it for week 2. Or make arrangements right away to get a copy of the book. Okay? Software. Okay. So we're going to be using software for the documentation that we're going to do of the requirements that we discover as systems analysts. And what do? Well, we write, we create diagrams, we write specifications, we do things like that. For writing specifications, I don't know how to explicitly say this here, but you can just use your word processor. Most people have access to Microsoft Word. It works fine. There is one document that we use for use case specification that I just give you a template file for Microsoft Word, and I have you fill it in. For the diagrams, we're using Microsoft Visio Professional 2016. And the reason that we're using this is that you, as a SOAS student, are entitled to a free copy of this. It's not the best of the diagrammers, but it's a pretty good one. And at the free price, it's an excellent one. There's a link here. It's the first link under software to go to the e-Academy portion of the SOAS IT group website, and there you ought to be able to log in and you ought to be able to buy a copy of Microsoft Visio Professional 2016 for free. So it'll say you're buying it, but the cost will be $0, and you ought to be able to download and install it on your Windows computer. Okay, I will have tutorials on how to use this product in order to do the various diagramming assignments that we're going to do. Now, I've got a version of these things that I did for the Visio 2013 product, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to update those tutorials and do it with the new product. It's not real different, but I always like to be using what you're using when I'm doing some kind of a demonstration. If you're like me and you have a Mac, then you can't run Microsoft Visio Professional directly on your Mac. Okay, so how do you deal with that? Well, there are two solutions. One is you can use the SOAS labs. So there is a copy of Visio Professional 2016 on the lab machines that are all over SOAS. And there is a copy on each of the machines. It's part of the SOAS virtual lab. And I have a URL here for you to find your way to the SOAS virtual lab if you haven't already done that. And if you need some help with that, then you could talk to the SOAS tech group. What I do for the diagrammer is I run a virtual Windows machine on my Mac. And how do I do that? Well, I use VMware Fusion, which, because I'm part of SOAS, I'm entitled to a free copy of, and so are you. So when you log into this eAcademy site, I put another link here to the eAcademy site. When you log into the eAcademy site, you either say that you want to go to the Microsoft DreamSpark part, or you want to go to the VMware part. And in order to get a copy of VMware Fusion, you need to go to the VMware part. If you have a fairly new Mac, you should be able to run this fairly quickly. And you're also entitled to a copy of the Microsoft operating system as part of the DreamSpark program. Now, I've been doing this for several years, and I typically get 2 or 3 or 4 people who will take the time to download VMware Fusion and get it installed, and to bring up a guest operating system for Windows and get that installed, and get a copy of Visio installed in that. And the people who do it have a good experience. It's a good experience for me. And if you're at all technical and you are interested in these tools, I recommend that you give it a try. Okay, what are the topics of the course? Well, the topics of the course are kind of a subset of the table of contents of the table of contents in the Hoffer book. Okay. With a couple of things thrown on. Okay, so understanding the role of the systems analyst is something that I threw on. Things that come from the Hoffer book: the systems development environment, the origins of software, initiating and planning software development projects, determining system requirements, structuring system process requirements, structuring system data requirements, designing databases, designing interfaces and dialogues, designing distributed and internet systems, system implementation, maintaining information systems. Okay, for the most part, those are associated with chapters in the Hoffer book. Okay, understanding the role of the systems analyst is a goodie that I've developed myself. Okay, that brings us to course objectives. Course objectives are expressed in things I would like you to be able to do by the end of the course. Okay? So I'd like you to be able to explain the role of the systems analyst in understanding the needs and managing the expectations of the project stakeholders. I'd like you to be able to explain how to identify and initiate a viable project, explain how to plan, elicit, and gather system requirements effectively, how to create a model of the requirements that can be used to get informed approval of the stakeholders. I'd like you to be able to suggest a preliminary design for an effective systems solution that meets the requirements. I'd like you to be able to create a model of the requirements that can be used to either construct a new information system or to serve as the basis for selecting a vendor-supplied information system. I'd like you to explain the potential role of the systems analyst in supervising the creation of detailed system design specifications, as well as the construction, testing, and approval of the system solution. And I'd like you to be able to write a report that persuades stakeholders that the proposed system solution should be implemented. And these are all things that you should be able to do or will already have done at the end of the course. The methods that we're going to be using: readings, primarily in the Hoffer book, recorded lectures like these, discussions of two types, discussions at the online office hours sessions, which I think really add a lot and I recommend them, and discussions on the D2L forums. Quizzes. The quizzes are primarily going to be about the readings in the Hoffer book. Skills practice assignments. Some of the things that we learn in the course are very much how to create a use case diagram, how to write a use case specification, how to write an activity diagram. Okay, I'm going to explain the why and the how of these. I'm going to give you a tutorial video that shows me doing the skill, and then I'm going to expect you to be able to do the skill. And then the next time we get together at online office hours, we're going to go over appropriate solutions to the assignment. There's a project that you're going to do. So there's a student project and a project report, and we'll be talking about those a little bit in a minute. I've already shown you the weekly schedule. Okay, so here's a link to the schedule. Okay, it's not fully populated, but it should be fully populated by, well, in about a week. I change things on the schedule all the time because some of the things on the schedule are placeholders for instance, recordings that I'm going to make. Well, I replace them with the links to the actual recording. So every time I update the schedule, one, I change the content on the website, and two, I notify you. I typically do that by posting a notice in the news on our D2L site, and then taking a copy of that and putting it in an email to everybody in the class. So you should be able to monitor your email and find out about any time that I've changed things in the schedule, which is typically the case of adding content. All right, let's talk about the work required of students. This is a pretty busy course. I'm thinking it's going to take you about 160 hours of work over 16 weeks outside of class. There's going to be reading. There's going to be quizzes on the reading. There are going to be lectures to listen to. There's going to be tutorials to watch. There are going to be assignments to do. There's going to be online office hours and all of those things. How long this is going to take an individual person is really going to vary. Um, to some people, this work comes um, easily. To other people, they've got to work at it a little bit longer. Um, it is the kind of work that you can kind of get lost in. Okay, and when I say get lost, I mean that in the kind of the positive sense of, you turn around and a couple hours have gone by because you're just sort of fully engaged in trying to understand and express the requirements, and all of a sudden somebody's calling you for dinner, and the last thing you know, you just had finished lunch. Okay, so time adds up. Okay. Grades are going to be based on the work output that you produce rather than the time that you expended, but you've got to be ready to expend the time. The readings are going to be primarily in the Hoffer text, although there are some supplementary readings. You'll recall that there's a brochure about how to work with an architect on designing your home. That's one of the readings for week 1. And the readings can be found by going to the weekly schedule. Okay, so they will point you to a reading in the Hoffer book, or if there's another reading, typically there will be a link right there. Viewing lectures and tutorials, you're already doing that. So you've already found your way to them. So I'm not really going to add a whole lot there, except to say that it's probably going to be helpful for you to, well, it's going to be helpful for you to do the readings before you view the lectures and tutorials, and it's probably going to be good for you to view the lectures and tutorials before you take the quiz. Okay, so that's kind of the workflow that I see. Participation, there's a lot of participation component of this course, and that's because of just the kind of job this is. This is a very social, interactive job. Okay, we're finding out about the needs of other people, and we're collaborating with them to come up with a solution that they understand and we think can either be built or be bought. Okay, a lot of interaction. Okay, so there's a lot of interaction in the course, and that's not accidental. So the first participation opportunity, well, I want to say 10% of your final grade is for participation. That's a pretty big number. That's a full letter grade. Okay, so doing really well on a participation is going to mean the difference between getting a B and getting an A, or getting a B or getting a C. So it's a big deal. I've already talked about online office hours. I think it's a great opportunity. Participation credit is earned by coming to online office hours and participating. The people who are generous enough to share their work, either their answers to quizzes or their solutions to skills practice assignments, will get substantial credit for doing that. Okay, it takes some gumption to put yourself out there and share your work and show everybody what you did, and there's points to be earned for those, substantial. Forum posts. Okay, so all the forums that you post to, every time you post, you're going to get participation credit. That includes the forum that you're posting to in week 1 when you're introducing yourself. It includes the open discussion forum, which is sort of the online equivalent of speaking in a face-to-face class. Okay, if you have a question, if you have a comment, whatever, post it to the open discussion forum. And then we're going to be forming into groups associated with our projects. So we're going to do a project about a case. Okay, and every student is going to do their own project individually about one of the cases. And I'm going to form you into groups that will act as a study group for that. So this is not a group deliverable. This is a support group for an individual deliverable. And each group will have a D2L forum. And you can use that forum to communicate with each other. In particular, I've given you the okay to show each other drafts of your work and to comment on them. And when you post to the forum, you'll get participation credit. Study group meetings. Okay, so optionally, the members of your study group may decide to conduct a meeting, either face-to-face, if you're in the Milwaukee area, for instance, or using some kind of online meeting tool like maybe Skype or Google Hangouts. And there'll be participation credit for participating in that kind of study group meeting, provided that one of the members of the group fills out a group meeting report form and submits it to the proper D2L Dropbox by the week ending deadline. Okay, what else do we have? We have quizzes. Okay, quizzes are a way to make sure you guys are doing the readings. Okay. There are going to be quizzes about the readings in the Hoffer book. They will be due at the weekend. They'll be using the D2L quiz feature. The quiz is going to close on the week ending deadline, and that's it. Okay, so if you think that you're going to be sick on the weekend, then you'd better do the quiz on Thursday. All right? Because come Sunday night, the quiz is going to close. Okay? The good thing about the quiz is you can take as many attempts as you want, and you're going to get the highest of your attempts. But the quiz is going to close on the deadline. The skills practice assignments I talked about a little bit already. The skills practice assignments are really practicing the skills you're going to have to use to write the deliverables, to create the deliverables for your case project. Okay? So if you look at the deliverables for the case project and you compare them to the skills practice assignments, there's almost a one-to-one correspondence. Okay, so we're going to practice in skills practice, and then you're going to do the real deal for your case project. Okay, these are going to be things like writing specifications and drawing diagrams and those kinds of things. One of them has to do with coming up with a preliminary project plan. Okay. In each of these cases, I'll talk about the skill in the lecture. I'll demonstrate the skill in a tutorial demo. There'll be instructions for the assignment. There'll be a grading rubric for the assignment, and you'll be expected to finish your work on that and post your deliverables to D2L by the week ending date. And we're going to review the solutions the next time that we get together on online office hours. And again, if you aren't able to make that, I'm also going to post the solutions files to D2L. Typically on the night we do the online office hours. And if you miss the opportunity to come to online office hours, we're going to record them. Okay. So I think that the way to learn these kinds of skills is to really follow the sequence that I talked about, where you learn about it, you watch me do it, then you do it on your own, okay? And that you really try to do it on your own when you're supposed to do it, and you hand it in on time. These skills are easier to watch other people do than to do yourself. So once you've seen somebody else do it, once you see the solution, well, it's pretty obvious, okay? What's hard is to grapple with doing it yourself from scratch, okay? So I give you a lot of incentive in the grading to do your skills practice assignments on time. And I have a special grading deal for skills practice assignments that says, I've developed a grading system that rewards good faith effort, timely submission, and attention to detail. In order to demonstrate good faith effort, you must turn in work that shows that you actually tried to do each part of the assignment. In order for your submission to be timely, it must be submitted by the weekend deadline. In order to demonstrate attention to detail, you must submit the proper number of files in the proper file format using the proper file naming conventions. So submissions that meet all the requirements that I just talked about will earn a minimum score of 85. So go out there and give it a good honest try, get it done on time, follow the directions, and you'll get a minimum score of 85. And hopefully, if you do everything right, you'll get a little bit closer to 100. Submissions that don't meet all the requirements, particularly ones that are late, can't get a grade higher than 84. Okay, so follow the directions, get it in on time, you're going to get an 85 or higher for certain. Don't follow the directions and get it in late, and you're not going to get higher than 84. You might get less, but you're not going to get higher than 84. Late assignments are going to be accepted for 1 week after the original week ending deadline. So if you are late, you have a week to get it in. And after that, we're not going to grade them. You're just going to get a 0. The experience that we have with these is that people who let them go too long just get too far behind in the course. And it's very challenging to keep up with the grading of these things, even when they're handed in on time. The feedback for these skills practice assignments is going to come in 2 forms. Okay, the primary feedback. Okay, how do I know how I'm doing? The primary feedback is going to come during online office hours. Okay, that's when we're going to go through the solutions to the last handed in skills practice. I'm also going to post at that point, I'm going to post my version of the solutions to the D2L site. Okay, if you can come and discuss it. If you're not able to make that one and you miss it, play the recording. Okay, your secondary feedback will be the grades and the comments that you're going to get back through the D2L for every one of these things that you submit to the Dropbox. Okay, that because we have so many students this semester, that's going to come within 2 to 3 weeks. So really, you need to pay attention when we review this assignment in online office hours to make sure that you really know what you're doing. Okay? Now, I do have a TA to help me with the grading this semester. Her name is Holly Leto. She's a graduate of the SOAS at BIST. She took this class with me a year and a half ago. Did very well. She's now in the SOAS MLIS program. She was the grader for me in spring of 2016 and graded for systems analysis. Actually, I think 2 sections of systems analysis. So she has a lot of experience with this, and she's going to be the primary person doing the grading. But you can talk about grades to Holly and or to me. And if you've got questions, we're here to help. The big deal is this case project. That's what we're working toward the whole semester long. This is it's a simulated project, okay? But it's based upon a case scenario that I created that I think is pretty realistic. Okay, there's more than one case scenario. There are 4 or 5, and based upon that, we form you into study groups of the same number, 4 or 5. And so that no 2 people in the study group have the same case. So they're all doing the same deliverables, but for a different set of facts. Okay? So this gives you the opportunity of being able to consult with and seek the counsel of any of the members of your group without kind of giving the problem away. Okay? We can get the benefit of kind of learning about 4 or 5 different problems as we work in our group, and get feedback from people in the same way we would in the workplace. This kind of collaboration in the workplace is fairly frequent amongst systems analysts, and that's the reason I'd like to model it here in the course like that. What's the deliverable for your case project? Well, it's a 3-part report, okay? So you're going to hand it in 3 different pieces at 3 different times in the schedule. Yeah, the 3 parts are the project plan, the systems analysis, and the proposed solution. So the project plan is going to come in early-ish. It's kind of, I think, due in week 6 or week 7 or something like that. I'm going to move it around a little bit this year. It might happen a little bit earlier. I think last spring I was doing it in week 7. The systems analysis is going to happen towards the end because we'll probably go all the way to week 12 or 13 before we hand that in, because we have to cover all the different kinds of diagrams and specifications. Okay, so I expect that you're working on your systems analysis as we're going through the semester, so that when we get to week 12 or 13, you'll do the last part, the part you just learned how to do, and you'll tune it up and maybe you guys will read drafts of each other's work and make a couple of comments and final revisions, and you will hand it in by the deadline. The proposed solution really covers the last couple of weeks of the course. These are things that are maybe not systems analysis per se, but these are things that systems analysts get involved with all the time. Quite often, the stakeholders on a project they not only want to see a documentation of their requirements, they want to see, well, what kind of a proposed solution can we build or buy? And so what I'm going to have you do is do a brief document on a proposed solution that includes technical architecture, a handful of screen designs, a handful of report designs, so that people will be able to look at what you're proposing and say, oh yeah, that's the kind of thing I want. That's the kind of thing I want you to build or I want us to buy. Okay? So the proposed solution is going to be done, it's going to be due on the last day of the course. Okay, so again, time-wise, project plan due, let's say week 6, systems analysis due, let's say week 12 or 13, proposed solution due probably the beginning of week 16. Okay, and that'll all be in the schedule, which will be firming up within the week. I want you to be very collaborative in this course, okay? At the same time, I only want you to submit your own work, okay? So I don't want you to copy the work of people on your team. I don't want you to copy the work of, my work. I don't want you to copy the work of people who've had this class before, any of those kinds of things. You can look at other people's work and take it as an inspiration, okay? But you need to do your own, all right? You also can consult with people, okay? The ideal way for you to consult with people is to take a try at whatever it is and to show it to them, and them might include me, and ask for feedback, okay? And what we'll try to do is to help you make improvements in your work, okay? So this is not a solitary activity. This is not a thing where we all have to keep everything secret, but we do have to do our own work. We need to draw our own diagrams. We need to type up our own documents. We need to have ideas that have been expressed by us directly and not simply copied. Okay, what's the grading? Well, there are 3 components to the grade. Participation, I mentioned already, is at 10%. And I talked about all the ways you can earn participation credit. Quizzes and skills practice assignments will be graded on 1 to 100, and they will account for 45% of the final grade. The project report has 3 parts, okay? Collectively, they're going to account for 45% of your grade. They'll be graded on a 1 to 100 scale as well. The project plan will be 5% of your overall final grade. The proposed solution will be 5% of your overall final grade. The systems analysis, which is the main deal, this being the systems analysis class, is going to count for 35% of your final grade. So you can see that your case project is a big deal. It's just a hair less than half of your overall grade. That's why it's going to get a lot of attention, okay? And that's why I'm going to want you to be working on it consistently throughout the semester and not to wait until the bitter end to do these things. All right? I just want to point out that I find that the people who do their projects as they go along, we learn a skill, we hand in a skills practice assignment, we get some feedback already, and then they go and they do it for their case project, okay, and then they kind of add it to their, their portfolio of work. and then we do the next skill and they add the next thing. Those people tend to do the best. The people who have the hardest time are the people who think, well, I'm going to know how to do this. I'm just going to do it all in the end. Well, you know what happens? You forget. All right? In that short amount of time, you forget. And it becomes the difference between doing a C+ job and doing an A job. I mean, it's a big difference. And it's you do a better job when things are fresh in your mind. There's no question about it. So that's what I want you to do, because I want you to do a good job. I have a section here that shows how I'm going to translate number grades into letter grades. This is pretty standard stuff. And now, the last part of the syllabus is both typical and important. Okay, it's typical in that these are things that I put at the end of all of my syllabi, and my colleagues do too, because we want these to be expressed in a standard kind of way. So you may have seen these things before. They're kind of boilerplate. On the other hand, they're really important stuff. So pay attention, okay? They deal with things like policies and how they might affect you in relation to the course. So there's a section here on students with disabilities. There's a section here on people who need to make religious observances that are not already built into our school calendar. Students called to active military duty. There's a section here on incompletes, and I want to tell you ahead of time that incompletes are very hard to get at UWM. Because, well, read the section, right? Discriminatory conduct. Well, this is kind of bad social behavior. We have a set of expectations of how we're going to treat each other here at UWM that we take very seriously. So if you haven't acquainted yourself with the details of that, please do. And if you're a person who has any kind of problem related to this, we're here to listen, okay? We take these conduct expectations very seriously, and if you have some questions or some problems or some issues, please contact me for some help. Academic misconduct, same kind of deal, okay? We have pretty high expectations of people here at UWM. If you haven't acquainted yourself with the Academic Honor Code, please do. And if you have any problems or issues, please see me. I'll help. Complaints. There's a procedure for complaints. There's a procedure for grade appeals. Okay? So again, this is all boilerplate. It's all standard. It's not different, but it's all very important. So please give it the attention that it's due. That's it for the syllabus. I just want to tell you that this is, for me, this is a fun course. I've been a systems analyst for 40 years, and it's a great job. I find it very satisfying. I find it very challenging. I think it really suits my personality. It kind of suits the kind of tasks that I get a lot of personal satisfaction from. I still do systems analysis. I still get great satisfaction from it. And at this point in my career, I get great satisfaction from helping people like you develop those same kind of skills, because I think they're very important for the kind of career that you're pursuing. So it's fun to do. It's fun to learn. Uh, and I think we're going to have a good time together. So I'm looking forward to a challenging and fun semester with you. And having said that, I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye bye.